Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Buy up, buy up. And in menudo style in a direct fashion, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, ding, and put your notification bell on all so that way I could direct my content right at you, right? Let's get it going. I had a glitch, like the Chase glitch, went off in my head, only I didn't get no money. And that's good, because I don't want to owe my life to them. Let's talk about Chicago, Chi-Town, Chirac. Very gang-orientated, man. Look, gangs have been in Chicago forever, okay? Latin Kings, Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, Satan's Disciples, Satan's fucking creatures. I mean, they got everything there, okay? But one thing that I'm noticing, and tell me if it's a conspiracy theory. What I've been hearing is the Venezuelan gangs are taking over. Now, we all know what happened in Aurora, Colorado, and if it happened or didn't happen, some people are saying, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I live in Aurora. It's crazy over here. The immigrants are taking over. Or is that what they're telling you? Is that what they want you to believe? That the immigrants are taking over? Or are the immigrants just being set up and put and placed, and basically, are they put in survival mode where they have to, fend for themselves, where they don't know how to speak the language of this country. They don't, they know how to work, I'm sure, but they're not given the same opportunities. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, they're given welfare and they're given food stamps and they're given housing and they're given this and that's enough. And I believe that is, a gift. That is something that not maybe they should have coming or they should get, because taxpaying citizens don't want their money spent like that. We'd rather give it all to the Ukraine. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Whether they're just trying to fend for themselves and survive, and they're in survival mode, that's to be seen, right? Whatever they say happened in Aurora, Colorado, I call bullshit. I don't believe it. I believe it was an isolated incident in some slumlord apartments. I've talked to several people now who have all said the same thing to me. Yes, there are a lot of immigrants there. Yes, that is a sanctuary city. Yes, you're going to see a lot of Venezuelans, but they've been there and they mind their own. But Chicago's different, right? In Chicago, it's a gang-related city. You have to move smooth with a purpose. You have to really move violently, because if you don't in Chicago, you can get fucking wrapped up, right? Like a deep dish pizza. You can get smashed on. So I've been hearing that the Venezuelan gangs are invading Chicago and taking over. Now, the word taking over is harsh. That whole phrase right there, taking over. To imply taking over means you're going in there and you're just laying everything down and you're saying, you know what, this is it. We're the top of the food chain now. We're eating everything. We're going to have it our way. Chicago is not one of the cities to play with, okay? Never been to Chicago. Got people, family, friends from Chicago. Support Chicago to the fullest. But I know with Chicago, man, it's different. Okay, there's a lot of gangs, and they're already firmly established, been there for 100 years now. And I don't think they would allow any immigrant gang to just pop up and just start taking over. We're talking about Chicago here. We're talking about 24 deaths in 24-hour type Chicago. We're talking about the Cubs not winning a World Series and people fucking are mad about it. We're talking about, the home of Chicago, the Chicago Bulls, right? We're talking about Oprah. Right? We're talking about Kanye West. When we're talking about Chicago, you think the gang-related murders that have happened in the last several years, man, and this has been going on for a long time. It just finally got recognized because they're going crazy. Why does my nose itch? This damn dog is giving me, I don't know what he's giving me, right? I'm about to give his ass the blues in a minute here. He's so cute laying next to my feet. But look, the Venezuelans taking over Chicago is far-fetched. Okay, they might be invading Chicago, meaning that they're starting to be noticed. And maybe they are establishing gangs. See, let's talk about the paisas for a minute in California. Let's talk about how a lot of paisas move. And when I say paisas, no disrespect, man. Shout out to my Mexican gente. I'm talking about Mexican nationals, right? Which in California, we call them paisas. They move into barrios that are already established in California and throughout California, whether it be Southern or Northern California, and they adapt to their surroundings. Not necessarily the parents, because they're already stuck in their mode. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. They just want to work and provide for their families. But their children are susceptible to what's going on around them. And what's going on around them is a lot of gangs and gang violence, barrio warfare. So coming from an area where they didn't see that too much, and they move into these barrios, they adapt. And they start to get jumped in barrios or start their own little cliques, their own gangs. I know in Northern California, man, there was a lot of migrant workers that went from Mexico and went the farm route and started to go, to do some farming. And a lot of their kids joined either Southsider gangs or Norteño gangs, and that's just how it was. And people were like, oh, there's a big influx of paisas that are joining gangs. And I remember there was a lot of Chicanos that would give it to them bad, like, oh, they're just paisas, they're paisiders, they ain't doing nothing, they're about their business, right? Definitely, man. A man is a man until he isn't no more, right? And so, like Wes Watson. So anyways, they're doing their thing. And in Chicago, I could see kind of the same thing. These Venezuelans. And it's weird to me that everyone's focusing on Venezuela now. I seen the Venezuelan president got apprehended in Florida yesterday. I haven't even really did my homework on it. Don't know what that's all about. But they snatched him up off the plane. He got snatched up, right? And then all of a sudden we have the Venezuelan takeover with the Hells Angels approaching in Aurora. And now everyone, the talk of the town is that Venezuelans are taking over Chicago. What is this big infatuation with Venezuela? Out of all the other migrants that are coming from every different country, is Venezuela being focused on for a reason? Is big time media want us to focus on this particular country for whatever reason it may be, so that way other things around could happen? Usually that's what happens. Our attention is diverted. Focus on this while that passes. Focus on the small bus while the big dump goes by the border, right? That's how usually it goes. I've just been tripping out lately how Venezuela is in the news, and maybe it's just because it's what's trending on social media and big time media right now that everybody's focused on it. And so any little thing that a Venezuelan does, they try to attribute it to gang violence or to gangs or to a takeover, to this massive fucking immigrant takeover. Look, quietly as it's kept, the immigrants are being brought over, right, and allowed to be established in these sanctuary cities for one reason and one reason only, and that's the election. Whether you choose to believe it or not, bringing these people over and allowing them to vote on your side is definitely going to give you the numbers. Okay, but that's a bigger conspiracy theory for a different video and a different day. But that's pretty much what I've keyed in on. Now, as far as them taking over Chicago, there has been a lot of gang violence in Chicago, and I don't think we could attribute that to the Venezuelans. I seen a shooting that happened the other day. I think I'm not sure if it was on the subway or where it was at, but 4 people got hit, and automatically it was a Venezuelan did it, an immigrant did it. Why are everyone pointing fingers at the immigrants like they're the only ones doing dirt in this country? Like the gangs in this country and everyone else hasn't already been doing dirt from the beginning. This country we live in was founded by some bullshit. It was founded by some takeover shit. That was the real takeover. See, prior to all the Europeans coming over, and the indigenous people were here, the Native Americans were here, and they got bamboozled and finagled, however you want to say it, up out of their spot, right? There was a gangster and a massive takeover. That was a real takeover. A takeover ain't a fucking handful of immigrants going to a city like Chicago and pushing some weight and grabbing some guns and doing some things, right? That's not a takeover. Do you understand out of every city in the world, people start trying to say this is happening in Chicago? We have so much gang warfare going on in that city. They're not going to allow a few immigrants with a couple rifles to come in and handle business and take over. It just doesn't work that way, especially not in Chicago. Motherfuckers will lay you down in broad daylight over there. So the big conspiracy of, Venezuelan gangs just being more rougher or more violent than anyone else, I call bullshit. That's fairy tales. Every gang, every group, every organization handles their own business. They all have hitters. They've all been around. And when you come into someone else's backyard, to someone else's land, it's not a good look for you. You usually don't win that war. Do you understand? What happened in Vietnam when America went over there? It was all bad. The reason it was all bad is because we try to fight them on their own grounds, in their own backyard. You can't beat anyone when they know the cuts. Hey, we can do a Chicano U-turn up here, man. This is our hood. Oh, we got a big old chistoso from them on Indiana Street. When you know your hood, when you know your area, that's home court advantage. You got home court advantage. There's a reason why people want to play the playoffs in their stadium, right? It's home court advantage. I don't know what the big thing is with them pushing the propaganda that these immigrants, and I hate that word, immigrants, man. It sounds like I'm prejudiced or something, and I'm not, right? But when you think immigrants, especially in California or the West Coast, you automatically think Mexicanos, Mexicans. And that is not the focus now. the focus is Venezuela and Chinese and people from the Middle East that are coming over, grown men, some of them released from prisons, gang members that are coming over, man, and setting up shop. And I definitely feel the hype, and the people are trying to scare people into this is what we have, this is what we're going to do, you know, to prevent this from going on. But quietly as it's kept, the administration that we're living amongst right now, how we're living, the people in the White House and what's going on right now is the reason why people are so scared now. It's the reason why people are seeing this and running with these narratives that these guys are taking over. These guys ain't taking over shit. Are you kidding me? You notice they don't say nothing about LA? The motherfuckers ain't taking over LA. They ain't taking over Sanho. You know, maybe San Francisco. I don't know. San Fran, shout out. But there's a lot of different ethnicities over there. But to say that they're invading Chicago in mass numbers and that they're... Do you really believe that the Gangster Disciples, the Vice Lords, the Latin Kings, and these other big groups are going to allow a Venezuelan gang to come just set up shop and just punk them? That's what's never going to happen, right? They haven't been able to eradicate each other for hundreds of years. What makes you think that some fucking pocket full of dudes that speak are going to come over and take over? It just doesn't work that way. Now, to be serious for a minute, I understand the panic in people that don't know the streets and have never lived that life. You know, when they see things on news, and a lot of people are into believing what they read or what they see, and I don't understand why. You know, you have to have your own opinion. You have to understand that in this world we live in, rather than truth, there's fearmongers. They spread lies. They want to scare you into submission. They want to scare you into voting their way, or they want to scare you into what they make believe is the best for you. But they don't have your best intentions at heart. They don't have your best interests at heart. You know, and it's a cold situation where these guys that are from Venezuela, that are migrants, that are just coming over, escaping a war-torn area or escaping a past and just trying to start a new life, are getting thrown into the mix. See, it's always been like that, like in barrios. When you think barrio, you think gang members. But a barrio isn't necessarily where gang members dwell. There's a lot of good citizens, civilians in them barrios. The old lady that just waters her plants. The paisa that just cuts his grass and chills. The Chicano family, man, that go to college and are trying to make something of themselves. And then, of course, there are gang members there. But most barrios, one thing I love about the raza community and the culture is they protect their own. Usually don't shit in your own backyard. Okay, I've seen a lot of other ethnicities and groups where you go into their hood, their barrios, and it's pretty rough, right? It's pretty rough. It seems like everyone's trying to take advantage of their neighbor. You're supposed to love thy neighbor, right? Not hate on them. But that's just how it is. You know, but to pinpoint the Venezuelans and saying that they are the ones basically on a path of mass destruction here, I think it's bullshit, man. I think they're using these guys as a scapegoat. And albeit there are going to be some rough Venezuelans. Damn right, they got a gang. You know, I wasn't too up to par on what they had going on, but I think it's a gang called Tren de, I don't know, Tren de la Caca. I don't know what it is, right? No disrespect, but I'm just keeping it real. And these guys are pretty deadly, pretty dangerous, right? And I guess they are considered, and I did a video yesterday and I talked about how a lot of people were saying they're the equivalent to MS-13. They kind of have the same beliefs and kind of rock the same way. You know, and I think that's the reason why MS-13 gets that notoriety, and they have such a notorious presence, is the way that they move, man. They move more militant than a lot of other groups, you know. But these guys, these Venezuelans, are getting all thrown into the same pot and considered gang members now. Now people are scared. If you say Venezuela, shh, they're coming. Who's coming? Let me get Bigfoot's coming too, and the aliens. Everyone's coming. No, I'm going to tell you who's coming. Me, last weekend with that torta. That's about it. And her more times than I did. At the end of the day, okay, they're trying to scare you into submission. They're trying to scare you into making believe that we're being invaded by these migrants and that they pose a threat to our safety and security. They don't. How many of you motherfuckers woke up this morning and put in an application to Carl's Jr.? Not very many of you, because you don't want that job, right? So if there's people coming over that actually need help, and they're doing it the right way, and they're getting the proper paperwork, we got Carl's Jr. with your name written all over it. There you go, right? And who says that they have to stop at that? You know, I have a family member that's a migrant. I have a family member that came over the wrong way, got his paperwork together and ended up the right way, and is now a manager of McDonald's. He did that though. He started from the fries and now he's up with the big guys, right? And he's going to progress to maybe a car salesman. At the end of the day, he's winning. Okay, he's living his American dream. I'm tired of people constantly blaming the raza, Venezuelans, everyone for the demise of the fabric of this country. That's not the truth. Really, we all need to look in the mirror and blame ourselves on the way we vote, the way we think, the way we act, and what we read into and believe. As an American, as a Mexican American, all I want people to do, and I said it last night in my live, is to do your homework, your research, right? I'm not one way or the other. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care who it is. All I care is that we put the best person in position, so if some shit does go down, we can rely on them to make the right decisions for the safety and security of our country and our families and us. That's it. I don't care if someone wants to grab some pussy. I don't care if someone wants to fucking smoke crack in the white. I don't care. None of that shit affects me. What does affect me is if someone attacks us, that you're fucking, your diaper, you got a new diaper on, and you're not too busy fucking over there on Epstein Island. That's the only thing that I care about. Okay? That you help the people that elected you. Now, all this fear-mongering stuff that they're doing, saying that the Venezuelans are taking over the world in Chicago, man, you guys should have picked a better city than that. There ain't no way that they go in. Them brothers in Chicago move different. If you ain't got dreads, you're getting questioned right off the top. If you are not moving in a Chicago fashion and willing to go all out, man, these motherfuckers have battle cars and they're different in Chicago, right? So if you're not doing it the way they're doing it, there ain't no way you're going to be able to survive in a city like that. That's a fact. Chicago is notoriously known for outsiders not being welcome unless you come, with respect. To say that these guys are just taking over and that, they're just going to keep saying that. And because they have people believing. But all this does is cause tension to the citizens and the people from Venezuela that are actually doing good and just want to work, man. This is what happened when 9/11 happened. You guys remember? All of a sudden, people that have of Middle Eastern descent or even looked Middle Eastern. I have a homeboy. He came up, sure, he got the whole taste slapped out of his mouth just because he looked like Hamdulillah. But the vato wasn't none of that. He was a Mexican. He was like, bro, I went in and I said, hey. They said, right? That was it. And that's what happens. Remember when there was a lot of Asian hate going on around, man? Just all these different things that happen. It's all propaganda, and it's all pushed to you by big time media. They're going to steer you into the direction they want to steer you into. A straight wreck, man. They want you to be a crash dummy. But you can learn a lot from a dummy, right? So I'm going to tell you this. There is no takeover happening in Chicago. Yes, there's probably a big immigrant push there. I know they allow and accept people. I don't know if it's a sanctuary city as well. But I know that it's a bigger city. They tried to do it in New York, in Boston, other big cities. What is it all about, though? And I'll broke it down to you in the beginning. I'll repeat it one more time again. The reason why all the immigrants are being allowed, it's not because we care. It's not because, oh, man, let's help these people. They're unfortunate. Fuck no, these people don't care about none of that. They're being brought in because if you bring all these people, that's another voter in your pocket. That's the truth. That's the real life thing. They're probably going to get me for saying this, but I'm just keeping it real with you. But as far as, them taking over apartment complexes in Aurora and taking over Chicago, no. Let me tell you what happened. That's a slumlord ass 2 apartment complexes that got a lot of immigrants, got a lot of raza, a lot of blacks, a lot of everything, right? No one even wants to go over there. The roaches basically took that fucker over. Why are we talking about the roaches takeover? Oh, we just sleep on that, huh? Oh, the Venezuelan, unless they're Venezuelan roaches, let me tell you, the roaches have been taking over fucking apartment complexes and houses for a long time. There ain't a single baby mama on AFDC right now that doesn't have her house taken over by roaches. They did that. It's either the dudes that you bring in every weekend that take over and eat all your kids' Captain Crunch, or the roaches in the multi-meal or the multi-meal. That's what's going on. Anyways, man, I just want to clear up the rumors of the Chicago takeover by Venezuelans. It's not happening, man. They are looking out for the immigrants. And yeah, there's going to be immigrants that join gangs. That's what happened in California, man. A lot of paisas joined gangs. Okay? There's a lot of white kids in the Midwest that join gangs. There's a lot of blacks that join gangs. There's a lot of everything that join gangs. It doesn't mean they're taking over. It just means that they're adapting to the surroundings. If that's all they see and that's all they know, that's all they'll do. It's up to us as Americans and as people, human beings, to love each other and provide a better way and a better path. Kids only know what you show them. If you show them cars, girls, gangs, guns, that's what they think they have to do. That's what they think is the cool thing. If you show them the Punches Pilot haircut with the 13 in the middle of your head and a snow cone right here and talk about you're very sparkly. Well, then they all want to be sparkly. We don't want them to be sparkly, but maybe some do. That's on them, right? Maybe they identify as confuzzled. All I know is this. At the beginning of the day or the end of the day, however you want to slice it and dice it, man, there is no fucking takeover by immigrants. This is just being told to you to scare you. And that's a fact. With that being said, up that you moose move with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming. Man, if you want to chime in on it, leave a comment. Let me know. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe you know more than I do. We'll find out. The gun. Bang, bang.